Hello and welcome back to India on 99.94, the home of cricket audio. I'm Nikesh Ragani, BBC broadcaster, commentator and journalist based in the UK, also found in places like SEN and Wisden. And my co-host, Sarah Warris of Wisden herself as well. And remember, we are your home of India content. We'll be here several times each week discussing all the issues that you hopefully want discussed. You can find us in your favourite podcast apps on YouTube or in our 99.94 app. Thank you very much for joining us here on Cricket's Conversation. And today, Sarah, we're going to kick off starting with the Zimbabwe tour, which has just concluded at the time of recording. India winning the ODI series 3-0. No real great surprise in that. The third match, though, going a little bit closer than a lot of Indian fans would have been too comfortable with, a 13-run victory, but a 3-0 victory nonetheless. What can we take away from that first and foremost? What are the headlines?
Is it fine to say that I wanted Zimbabwe to win in the end? Just how Sikandar Raza was playing
Yeah,
and
well,
somehow, supporting the underdog because the win would have meant so much more to them than probably what it means to India in the long term. Kind of 1% was hoping Zimbabwe wins. Happy India won. No issues, no complaints. Lot of positives, a few question marks, but we'll take the win.
indeed, yeah. Sikandar Raza, big shout out to him. Been outstanding for Zimbabwe in recent times, and if he carries on, he could well go on to be one of their all-time great batters that they've ever produced. Keep scoring centuries for fun. Doesn't matter who you put in front of him. Usually ends up
Yeah.
with that three-figure score, doesn't he? You mentioned a lot of question marks there, a lot of performances to talk about as well. Let's just get stuck in. KL Rahul, he was the captain in this series. He's going to be part of the Asia Cup squad as well. He's one of the few first teamers, if you like, involved in this particular squad for Zimbabwe. KL Rahul, the leader. We've talked about this before, haven't we? We're not convinced he's the right man to take India forward as the next captain. I mean, look, there's no vacancy available at the moment. Rohit Sharma is the captain across all three formats, apart from when India have situations like this where they're playing, a lot of cricket and they end up sending weaker sides to play these white ball series. But KL Rahul, the leader, have we learnt anything new? Is it just same old, same old? Was he still a bit quiet, a bit sort of, not proactive enough and all those sorts of things that we've seen before? I think so. How do you feel?
I feel the same. Over the course of these three matches, we spoke before that three matches might not mean a lot, but it means so much for KL Rahul, the captain. And I'm not sure those questions are answered. India won the toss. They didn't bat first in the first ODI when KL Rahul is coming back after a long injury break, and he could have India could have batted first. He could have opened. He didn't open, just to get some game time ahead of the Asia Cup, where he is expected to open the innings. He opened in the second ODI, but then didn't get much. Uh, mm, he opened today, scratchy knock, wasn't very impressed. And throughout the series, there were a number of questionable selection calls, like Shardul Thakur played in the second ODI. Um, Possibly, you say, to strengthen the batting order when you didn't really need the batting order to be strengthened that much. I would have wanted Avish Khan to play in the second ODI because he's in the Asia Cup squad. So possibly, try people in the Asia Cup squad ahead of Shardul maybe. Um, Today we saw that the pitch was a little slow, assisting the spinners. Deepak Huda was given 1 over and then taken off the attack. Shardul Thakur, not the best death bowler, was given the responsibility in the end. So there were a lot of, this and that, and not very impressive. And India could well have lost the match today, which says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't blame the captain if they did go on and lose. Some of
Yeah.
his decisions could come into question, certainly, but it wouldn't be one man's fault if that was to happen. But all right, KL Rahul, the leader, I think we've harped on about that quite a bit, and we're both in agreement that look, we're not impressed. Clearly, the BCCI and the management seem to see something in this guy. He's obviously captained at IPL level, and they like him as a leader. Look, on his day when he's in good form. We talked about his batting form briefly there. When he's in good form, he's terrific to watch. If he's in form, he should be in your 11 in most formats, if not at least two out of the three. And we'll discuss that in just a moment as well. Um, but just the way Indian cricket is going at the moment with the whole, in T20s and ODIs, we attack, attack, attack. We're going down the route that England went down in 2015, where Owen Morgan got this group of guys together and said, you know what, we just go hard. And if we lose wickets, we keep going hard. And even when we're in the field, we go hard. We look to take wickets. We're going to be all out attack. He's not that type of character naturally, is he? And that might be a problem. Yeah, Rohit Sharma is probably not that kind of character, really, but Rohit Sharma commands so much respect that he says something, everybody follows him into war. KL Rahul isn't quite at that level yet, is he? And he might get there one day. We don't know. He might develop in the next couple of years, and Rohit Sharma steps down, and he might be ready to step into that role. But when you look at Kohli beforehand and the way he was and the amount of success that India had under Kohli, and now Rohit Sharma trying to stamp a similar kind of authority across the white ball sides in terms of the way they play their cricket, this would be going down a completely different route. But I suppose, look, we don't have to worry about that just yet. Rohit Sharma is still there. KL Rahul he's going to be in the squad as a batter on merit if he is there. And that's what I want to discuss. The batting, yes, he didn't open in the first innings, in the first ODI, and India didn't lose a wicket, so he didn't get a bat. Then he decided, well, hang on, this looks quite easy. If I don't open, I might not get a chance to have a bat. So he ends up opening in the second ODI. India do end up losing 5 wickets. One of them is him, 1 from 5. Didn't look good at all in that short stay at the crease. And then, again, as you say, a very scratchy 30 from 46 in the final game as well. Didn't find his rhythm at all. Has been out injured, yes, but you've got the likes of Shubman Gill, 130 from 97 today, knocking on the door in that opening slot across formats, but particularly in ODIs as well. KL Rahul's place, is it under pressure yet? Are we still a way off that, do you think?
Mm. See, in ODIs, I think the best spot for him is still number 5 because India have too many opening options. There's Gill now, there's Rohit, Dhawan. Dhawan's strike rate is an issue of late, but India somehow have locked him in for the World Cup. In T20Is again, like we had spoken earlier, I'm not very sure how he will adapt to this new approach. He's not played a single T20Is in 2022. In the IPL, we know that he can score a 50 or 14 balls also, but then he scores 600 runs at 120 or strike rate too. So there are both sides. It's just, on his day which KR Rahul comes in. This series, I think, was not about is he fixed in the 11. I think he will play in the near future. It was just about getting some game time, and he did look scratchy, which uh, ahead of the Pakistan match, can be a question mark for like a concern for India. They'd be thankful that China Freedy is not there. So one concern less for them. But still, yeah, Rahul is fixed for now, but it would be interesting to see what happens in the future if he can adopt to this new approach, because we have seen Rohit Sharma, who is slightly, cautious in T20Is, even Virat Kohli, they have adopted to this approach very well. So I think KL Rahul has to adopt to this. It's, he has no other option because even the big stars have done it. And I think that's just how India want to play going forward. So he will have to do it. And if he doesn't, I don't think this Indian management will be scared to, take the tough call.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, look, we're not selectors. We've obviously got an opinion like everybody has.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just look at the amount of batting talent that India has. And if one of those guys isn't in form, there's a whole queue of people waiting who are in form. So they might
Yeah.
take your place. You got to go back and to wherever, get your form back and come back and try and make the most of a second opportunity if you get one. You know, Shubman Gill, 130 from 97. Yes, it's against Zimbabwe, but you know, they're a test playing nation. You know, they're not minnows of world cricket. Yeah, they might be minnows in
Yeah.
terms of the test playing nations, but Zimbabwe for a long time have always competed and they've been through some incredibly tough times and they've come back and they've produced some decent results in the last couple of years. So, you know, 130 from 97 against anyone who is a test playing nation is a brilliant effort. First ODI 100 for Shubman Gill. First of many, we hope. Ishan Kishan with 50 from 61 as well. Yeah, the strike rate wasn't over 100, but, you know, it's an ODI. He got back some form, which he's been lacking of late, showed a bit of maturity through that innings as well. We've talked about Deepak Huda previously waiting there in line. Shreyas Iyer in this format as well. There is a list, and I don't think he's nailed on for that number 5 in the ODI side, and certainly in the T20 side looking forward as well. There are so many other options, and ultimately, look, he's got a great record at international T20s, and that is what I think is keeping him in the reckoning at the moment. Because if you look at his IPL record in recent seasons, the runs are there, but the strike rate drops off dramatically throughout his innings after the power play, doesn't it? So that could be a potential other issue as well. But look, this is not about bashing KL Rahul.
Oh
It's just
no,
about asking the
yeah,
questions
sorry.
really.
Yeah. On a s- related note, I just came across this stat. I hadn't noticed this before, that Joe Root and KL Rahul are from the same under 19 batch. And Joe Root has gone on to become this legend in English cricket, and KL Rahul is, yeah, he's a superstar, but he's not really a superstar. He's just still considered a player who can go on to achieve so much more. So
Yep.
will his career, end up, will he live up to his potential? That's the question worth asking.
Yeah. Well,
He's been unlucky with
he
injuries,
has.
but yeah.
He has been unlucky with injuries, but look, as you say, look, he's not getting any younger. He's not one of the younger members of the team. He's a sort of vice captain in this format and leading the side in Zimbabwe as well. So he's a senior player in the side, and you'd say based on that, no, he hasn't quite lived up to his potential, but he's still got time on his side. Let's talk about Deepak Chahar because a lot of eyes are on Chahar before the start of this series. Again, coming back from injury, a spell on the sidelines. Comes back in the first ODI with 3 for 27. Fantastic performance. Everyone's raving about Deepak Chahar's back. Look at all the options we've got, particularly when you look forward to T20s as well, because that is where he's perhaps seen as a bit more of a specialist. But then today, albeit in an ODI, 2 for 75, 75 runs off his 10 overs.
Yeah.
That's a hammering, isn't it? Yeah, he picked up a couple of wickets, but got taken to the cleaners.
Yeah. And I don't think he's fully fit also. He didn't play the second ODI. Uh, we don't really know why. So, possibly to manage his workload. That's why he's been probably a standby in the Asia Cup and not in the main squad. I don't think he's fully fit yet, but yeah, 75 runs against one of the weaker sides is, though they did, Zimbabwe played very well today, shows possibly that um, India might not. Obviously, it's against Zimbabwe, early to say, but I would still, like, there's just place for Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Deepak Chahar in my 11. I know many people want him. This is for T20Is. I know many people want both of them to play in the T20 World Cup. But I would still say on current form, fitness, I don't see Chahar is fully fit right now. Also, I would still want Bhuvi in D11 over Chahar, just because Bhuvi can bowl in the depth also. Uh, and yeah, he's been keeping fit. Bhuvi recently said don't want to jinx it because he's also been very unlucky with injuries. He's been keeping fit. He has plenty of experience. He's been very economical. So right now, I would like it's slightly tilted in Bhuvi's favor, and Chahar might still have to wait it out to be in the 11
Yeah, look,
for me.
Chahar has bowled at the death on occasion in IPL and things like
Yeah,
that, but he's not a very effective death bowler, and
I
we've
was just
seen MS Dhoni using
yes,
him
sorry.
almost all
Yeah.
four up front at times, haven't we, as well? And you're right, Bhuvi gives you that
So I was
different
just
dimension.
yeah. I just saw this that last IPL 2021 he didn't play 2022. He just bowled 5 overs in the death. So if a captain like Dhoni doesn't bowl you in the death, you know that that's not your strength at all, because Dhoni is known for taking these gambles and everything. But that is the biggest proof that it's better to just finish him off in the first 10-15 overs. uh and India would want all-rounded bowlers like Arshdeep, Bumrah, Bhuvi, who can bowl at any stage. So I would still think that these three are my first choice for the T20 World Cup.
Let's talk about the captaincy just a little bit more and not focus on L Rahul, but split captaincy, because look, India have been seen as front runners in this new modern world of cricket where you're playing every day of the week, twice on a Sunday almost, in 190 countries around the world, or it's not quite that much, but you get the point, right? They're living this jet set lifestyle, but it's pretty tough on all these cricketers, especially if you are an international cricket captain, having to go from tour to tour, play in every format like Rohit Sharma still does. And look, he's going to sit out the odd tour like he has Zimbabwe, and they're going to schedule more of these things in the future, you'd imagine, as well. And he can't do it all. So do you then look at a stage where, look, Rohit Sharma's not getting any younger? Is he really one of your best T20 batters? The debate's up there. You could argue no. You could argue, yeah, he's got the experience. He can do it. He's the man for the big occasion. Whatever you might think, or you might think, look, there's this whole crop of young guys performing week in, week out in the IPL year after year, coming into the national side, doing well whenever they're given opportunities, and then the big boys come back and they're all of a sudden dropped back onto the sidelines. So look, that his place in, say, the T20 side might be up for debate. He might decide to even call it quits in ODIs after the next World Cup,
Yeah.
because what would be the point? He's not going to carry on until 2027, which would be the one after that. So then do you look next year at some point at a contingency plan where you split the captaincy like England have done, like Australia have done, between Test cricket and white ball cricket? Because it's worked well for England, maybe not in terms of their Test performances in recent years, but certainly in the white ball formats. Owen Morgan was the man. He had a vision. He was the leader. And look at all the things he achieved. They were the best white ball side in the world for a good chunk of time. Australia have done the same thing. Aaron Finch has gone and won the T20 World Cup with that side, and they're building a very, very strong white ball squad at the moment, and still competing in Test cricket. With Pat Cummins in charge now, and they've had Tim Payne and others before that, Steve Smith, etc. But they split it. They're the other two out of the big three, aren't they, in inverted commas? So why can't India do it? Why have they been reluctant to do it? Why did Virat Kohli get pushed out when he suggested it? Because he wanted to give up the T20 captaincy, didn't he? And then they came out with this thing, oh, we want one white ball captain. So you're going to be sacked as ODI captain, basically. And you
And
could,
after that, India have fielded
yeah, well,
so
everyone's
many
been captain. I
captains
mean, I
after that.
might put
Yeah.
in an application to be captain on their next tour of
Yeah.
Nepal or wherever it might be, in a one-off T20 series scheduled in
Yeah.
between, like, 2 or 3 test series or whatever it might be. No, it's yeah, they've experimented. They've got to know some of these different players and different ways in which they captain. And a decision's going to have to be made sooner or later. Rohit Sharma coming to the end, as I said. Do they look down that split captaincy? Will they do that? Because look, Kohli was not only forced out of the ODI captaincy, yes, he quit the Test captaincy ultimately, but there was a feeling of, look, they've fallen out. There's no coming back from this. They don't want Kohli in charge of the Test team and not in charge of the white ball teams. And it was inevitable, you felt. So he just made the decision before they came calling, or, in the next selection meeting, just said, oh, sorry, mate, we don't need you anymore, or whatever it might be, because that's how ruthless they can be. That's how ruthless they were when they sacked him as ODI captain. They did it an hour before a Test selection meeting. So, they need to get their house in order as well, the BCCI. But if they can do that, will this be a viable option for them? Split the captaincy between Tests and white ball?
I think unofficially that is the case right now. Like, it's obviously been depends on tour to tour, series to series. Rohit Sharma, when he's not playing uh, test matches, he's in the captain in the ODI team. When he's not there in the ODIs, he's the captain in the test format. So I think India have kind of adopted this split captaincy thing. They've just not given an official term to it yet. But I think this is how it will be. Like, India might have different captains. Uh, I think they will still continue to name one captain, one all format captain, so to say, just to remove any conflict or whatever. Because I don't know, the BCCI is someone who just wants to stay away from. They don't want to take these hard decisions. So to say, they removed Kohli, but I don't see BCCI naming two captains. But I think it will still be, it will still depend on format to format and series to series. Uh, I would want that, but will it even matter? Like, if Hardik Pandya plays the ODIs, he might not play the T20I series. So, because of the workload management and all, and that's that's what I feel. It will just be one captain, but there will be many other captains around him. Which also makes me believe that the role of the coach will increase, and even more, because there will be one coach across formats. Like Rahul Dravid is there now, though Lakshman takes up his duties whenever he's not around. But it will be the coach who will be running the show more than the captain, is what I feel.
Just before I come back on that, just a reminder that 99.94 is more than just this podcast. Jared Kimber has Red Inker that focuses deeply on cricket topics from the global game. There's also Double Century, a look at the history of the game. There are other podcasts on other teams as well. Go over and listen to West Indies on 99.94 for cricket's best Caribbean coverage. England on 99.94 has the north and south of the country covered there. South Africa on 99.94 as well is looking at the radically changing nature of cricket in the Rainbow Nation. You can find them all on your podcast apps on YouTube or via the 99.94 app. Yeah, just that point on the will they take the hard decision, the BCCI? I mean, why not? Look, ultimately, this whole new approach in white ball cricket, they've looked at the global game. I think they've looked in particular at England and Owen Morgan's template for his white ball teams during his tenure as captain before the tour of England this summer, the white ball series. And they basically said, look, that's what we want to be. That's who we want to be. We want to be like that side. We just want to go all out attack. All the phrases that Rohit Sharma was using are like that. And if you're going to do that, then why not sort of go take it a little bit further and look at the way England have done it. And look, I'm not saying England are the most, they're not the blueprint for a successful team across all formats because they've struggled in Test
Yeah.
cricket and they've had their problems. But you look at Australia, you look at England, you look at the way the game is evolving, the game is changing, schedules are getting tighter, windows for franchise tournaments are getting bigger, there's less international cricket. But when you are playing international cricket as well as domestic cricket, you are non-stop traveling around the world and playing cricket. You probably don't know what day of the week it is half the time as well. Why would you want to put all that pressure on one man to be your captain across formats? I mean, Rohit Sharma could still play white ball cricket. Does he need to be the captain in white ball cricket? Or alternatively, he could be your captain in white ball cricket and he could still be a test opener, but why don't you give your test captaincy, or why didn't you leave it with Kohli, to be honest? Because there's no real a viable other option, maybe apart from Bumrah, and
Yeah.
you don't want to put that kind of pressure on him. But look, a couple of years down the line, and those names will change. Rohit Sharma might not be on the scene anymore. And why would you want to put all that pressure on just one person to lead across all three formats? I just don't see it working in the future of cricket. I don't think it's a particularly sensible move. It puts a lot of pressure on, and you've got to look at the commercial aspect as well, because being the captain of the Indian cricket team it puts you in the shop window, doesn't in terms of commercial revenue, and you're the face of Indian cricket. It's like being the prime minister in most countries, isn't it? You are the figurehead. The nation looks to you every time there's a big tournament on. It's your face at the forefront. Every big series, you're the man who's out there posing with the trophy at the toss, giving all the interviews, the press conferences. And ultimately, you're going to get a lot of work commercially off the back of that as well, with advertising revenue and all those sorts of things. So, how does that work out then? If you've got one captain, fine. But then if you've got one captain on paper, but then really you've got 12 captains across the year, that's a bit stupid as well, isn't it? I mean, maybe you give it to a
Yeah.
guy, the white ball captaincy, who's not going to get into your test side or not going to get into your test side regularly anyway. He might force his way
Hardik
back in.
Pandya.
Hardik
Yeah.
Pandya, there you go. He's out the reckoning in test cricket at the moment. They don't seem to
Yeah.
feel the need to play him. There was a time when, look, Hardik Pandya in test cricket was like a godsend, wasn't it? A fast bowling all-rounder who could slot in there at number 6 or 7, could score your runs, could take your wickets. That fifer at Trent Bridge in 2018 sticks in the memory as well. You know, that's the Hardik Pandya that was the ultimate test cricketer that India have been calling out for since Kapil Dev. But it didn't happen. It probably won't happen in the future, given his fitness issues and all that. Will he be able to bowl 20 overs a day across 5 days in the test match? Maybe not now. So why don't you look at somebody like a Hardik Pandya, who's just going to focus on white ball cricket, and then give the test captaincy to somebody who might play test cricket and might play ODIs and T20s as well, like Joe Root does for England, or did for England when he was test captain, but doesn't need that added responsibility of captaining across all three formats, because that is huge pressure. You've got 1.5 billion people watching your every move all year round. You don't need that all the time. Give it to some other guy. You take it over. I'll just come out and bat or bowl or whatever. Just do my thing.
And I think also with having so many captains, Pant was the captain in again South Africa, then Shikhar Dhawan, then there's Hardik Pandya, then KL Rahul now. Uh, the bunch of youngsters is the same. There's some most of the squads will have Sanju Samson, Shubman Gill, Gaikwad, Ishan Kishan. If there are so many captains, possibly it just adds so much of confusion in the minds of the youngster also, because Hardik Pandya might have a more aggressive approach from what we've seen in the IPL and what we've just his persona is such. KL Rahul might have a very relaxed persona. So if it changes from series to series, I think this will just mess up the youngsters also who are coming in, because most of these players, Avesh Khan, for example, is they are just still finding their feet in international cricket. They are not experienced players. So I agree with your point that having one fixed captain um, is obviously, like, for one format is the best move. I was just wondering if BCCI will do it, because uh, when they removed Kohli, they had this absurd reason that we need one captain and all that. When ironically the women's team had two captains, then they had Mithali Raj and they had Harmanpreet Kaur for the two for the different formats. So um, it's just
Yeah,
what
but you know
we don't know how the
I mean, come
BCCI
on, when
functions.
it comes to
Yeah,
women's cricket, hopefully, look, we do see a women's IPL next year and more investment in women's cricket. But look, traditionally, they've not really cared about women's cricket. I mean, there's people in the
yeah.
BCCI who probably don't even know
I
all
wouldn't
the
have been
squad
shocked
members.
if they didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So
I
let
wouldn't
alone the
have been shocked
captains,
if
right?
they didn't know
You
that
know, but
this was the
it's
case.
I know,
Yeah,
but we're only messing around. But they haven't traditionally cared that much about the women's game, so they wouldn't have compared that, and even that wouldn't have even come
yeah.
into their thought process regarding the captaincy and the fact that look, Mithali is the ODI and Test captain,
When
and you
yeah.
know it's different in the ODIs with Harmanpreet taking the side. So that's not the issue, but you're right. They just don't want to take
Also
difficult
this
decisions.
excuse was, yeah, also this excuse was very weird, because Dhoni and Kohli did that for around 2 or 3 years, when Kohli
Yeah.
was in the captain in one white ball, and Kohli was the captain in Test cricket. So it was just a way to remove Kohli, yeah, which was very unfortunate after all that he's done and whatever it was. It was unfortunate. But yeah, that's what makes me think, if BCCI, will, after all that, will they backtrack and then go the split captaincy way, or will they just continue having different captains for different series and all that? But as I said, I would want a fixed captain at least, because all these players are youngsters, the Gaikwads, Gills, and they want some kind of security, some, one method of
Yeah.
playing. One, they know that, okay, this method is working, I will uh, go and play in this way. So, which is what, again, my concern with split coaching also. It's not really a split coaching mechanism in Indian cricket right now. Dravid is the coach during the big series, and Lakshman during the smaller series, like he's in charge of he was in charge of the island series and now the Zimbabwe series. uh,
We'll come to that. Hang on, just we'll come to that
Again,
in just a
it could lead,
second, Sarah.
yeah.
But just before we do, I just want to tell you that if you do love cricket and you want to hear more, you can head over to the 99.94 app and you can hear all our podcasts and also our commentary. We are the home of cricket audio online, where we're adding new shows and covering series. And the best way to follow us is via our app or on social media at 99.94 DM. And welcome to Cricket's Conversation. And we'll continue that conversation, Sarah. Split coaching. You were saying Lakshman taking charge of the not so high profile series.
Yeah.
Look, Lakshman is in charge of the National Cricket Academy, the under 19s, the India A side. So he knows a lot of these young guys, as Rahul Dravid did when he was in that role as well. But why not split the coaching? Other teams have done it as well. Look, I'm sitting here in England with Brendan McCullum as the Test coach, Matthew Mott as the white ball coach. They've, Trevor Bayliss was in charge of both before and found it a bit too much, really, because all the focus he put into white ball cricket then sort of affected them in red ball cricket, didn't it? And they didn't have a good time under Trevor Bayliss in Test cricket.
Yeah.
And they realised that, look, we need to go back down this route. Chris Silverwood did the same thing, obviously, after Bayliss and was in charge of all the teams and just found it difficult. I mean, you look at some of these guys, these international coaches who take charge of all three formats. It's not easy. It's not easy doing that. And we talk about the captaincy causing that pressure and that headache and, non-stop cricket around the world. Being a coach, it's a lonely place at the top, isn't it? Being an international cricket coach, because you've not quite got the same power as a captain. You're there to guide more than you are to lead. It's not like in football where the manager, the coach is the one you all look to and the captain is just somebody to G you up on the field. Cricket is heavily all about the captain. When you're out there on the field, the captain makes all these decisions. and they're at the forefront of absolutely everything. It's not the manager, it's not the coach, it's the captain. But being a coach, therefore, is a very, very lonely place to be. And, with all this, mental health coming to the forefront and people talking about how difficult it can be in those environments, why not just look after these guys, these legends of Indian cricket, and just let them focus on one aspect of the game? And that way, as you said, with the younger players, even if your main captain isn't available for a lower profile series, you've still got that same white ball coach and that same philosophy and that same father figure and that same security about, look, I'm still going to get a run in this side for the next couple of months or whatever. It doesn't matter if I don't perform. I've just got to go out, trust my process, and do what I do. And this coach believes in me and has given me that backing. Whereas if you've got Dravid saying that to you and then Lakshman comes in for a series or two, you're going to
Yeah.
be wary, aren't you? That's going to be more pressure on the youngsters as well. So just create those environments where everybody knows who's in charge, everybody knows the process, everybody knows the philosophy, and you're all singing from the same hymn sheet, and off you go, and enjoy your cricket a little bit more without that added pressure. That's, to me, that's logical. But again, I don't know if the BCCI will go for that. I don't know what's in Dravid's contract and whether, there's
I
a way to
think
get out of
the
that.
sorry to cut you in. Yeah. I think the first step to having split coaching is like the England team have followed is to have two different setups for white ball and for test cricket. Right now there is one captain, so I don't think split coaching works if there is just one captain. You because Rohit Sharma can't uh, l- work with Rahul Dravid, for example, in the test setup and then work with some other coach in the white ball setup. It can work, but I don't see that working. Either you have continuity across all formats, or you have a different coach and a different captain. Tell them that this is your department, you will totally be in charge of this sector. I don't see how Rohit Sharma so that's I think that's the first step for BCCI to completely segregate the two for two setups, white ball and test cricket, and say this is how we are going to approach white ball and white ball T20Is, ODIs in the future with this captain, this coach, and this is how we are going to go ahead in test cricket. uh, I think that's the first step, uh, to have different captains also. um, as you said, Lakshman is there, Dravid is there. It Though I hope there is communication between both of them, but even if one small point Lakshman differs from Dravid, it can just cause confusion, and you never know how it impacts the youngster, because most of these youngsters are still finding their feet in international cricket. So you just want some kind of continuity, which I think right now has been overlooked, because Indian cricket is so strong that is just whoever comes in captains, India is winning, okay, great. But in the long term, when these players are no longer there. Like there's no Rohit Sharma, there's no Dhawan, there's no Bhuvi, and a younger lot of players are in the side. You want some kind of continuity across formats, which I think BCCI hopefully is thinking about, and we'll probably see this after the T20 World Cup or the 2023 World Cup next year.
Yeah, we will indeed. And you're right. It's a lot of the players getting on in their careers. We hope to see another couple of years from some of those guys you mentioned. But look, in a couple of years, Indian cricket will look very different. The future does look bright with all the talent coming through, but we'll just wait and see who goes on and does what. And if the BCCI do decide to go down any of those routes. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on all things Asia Cup as well on this podcast. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our feed, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on via your podcast provider as well. We'll have two Asia Cup previews for you this week before the tournament kicks off. We'll look at the competition in general. And then, of course, we'll look ahead to the big one, India versus Pakistan on Sunday, the 28th of August. A day or so before that, you'll be able to listen to our preview of that particular match as well. And we look forward to it as well here on 99.94. But thank you very much for listening to this episode, and we'll be back soon.